It was supposed to be just another night in the glittering world of Chinese entertainment. The 2025 Weibo TV and Internet Video Summit, a celebration of success, artistry, and fame. The cameras were everywhere, flashes blinding, smiles perfectly practiced. Every step, every glance, every movement was meant for the audience. But what the cameras didn't capture, what unfolded in the quiet shadows behind the stage, would become one of the most talked-about moments of the night. A moment between Wang and Shen Yue, two names that had once been inseparable in the hearts of fans. Two souls that had shared laughter, chemistry, and undeniable connection. On screen, and, many believe, beyond it. That night, something changed, and by the time the curtain fell, Shen Yue's tears told a story that words could barely contain. They had both arrived looking flawless. Dylan, dressed in a sharp black tuxedo that seemed almost too perfect for him. Confident, back when Meteor Garden had redefined their careers and given fans a love story to believe in. But this year, another pair took the stage. As applause filled the room, the camera lingered on Dylan and Shen Yue, just long enough to catch the quick shift of emotion on her face. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, and Dylan didn't look at her at all. The show moved on. The laughter returned, but something inside Shen Yue had cracked. By the time the lights dimmed for the next segment, she excused herself quietly. The crowd's focus remained on the stage, but one person noticed her leave. Dylan. For a second, he hesitated, fingers tightening around the microphone in his hand, before setting it down and following her. Not to make a scene, not to explain, just to make sure she was okay. What happened next, no one was meant to see, but someone backstage did, and their whispers would soon make headlines around the world. Behind the stage, the noise of the audience faded into a dull hum. The corridor lights flickered softly, shadows dancing across the walls. Shen Yue stood near a mirror, her reflection trembling in the glass. Her hands were shaking, not from anger, but from something far more fragile. Disappointment. She had told herself she was fine, that the distance between them was natural. That time changes people, that fame builds walls. But seeing him smile that easily, act that distant, felt like watching the last thread between them snap. And then she heard his voice. Quiet. Careful. Shen Yue, he said softly, his tone barely carrying through the corridor. She didn't turn around. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the faint sound of the show continued in the background. Laughter, applause, the world moving on as if nothing had happened. Finally, Shen Yue inhaled slowly and whispered something that would later break millions of hearts. You used to look at me like I mattered. Her words were fragile, trembling, but heavy with truth. Not a confrontation, not bitterness, just the soft ache of someone realizing that the person they once meant everything to no longer sees them the same way. And then came silence. Dylan didn't move, didn't know what to say. The weight of her words hung in the air between them, heavier than any script, sharper than any camera flash. She blinked quickly, wiping at her eyes before turning toward the exit. He reached out, but too late. She was already walking away. Moments later, someone from production saw her slip into a side hallway, dabbing at her eyes with the back of her hand. A staff member offered tissues. She smiled through her tears, whispering a soft, "Thank you," the kind of politeness you use when your heart is breaking and you don't want the world to see. Within minutes, social media began buzzing. A fan who had been filming a behind-the-scenes vlog posted a short clip showing Shen Yue wiping her eyes backstage. The clip exploded across Weibo. Thousands of comments flooded in. Is she crying? What happened between her and Dylan? Why does she look so heartbroken? And just like that, the whispers became a storm. When Dylan returned to his seat, he looked composed, maybe too composed. But those sitting near him said his jaw was clenched, and his eyes kept flicking toward the side stage. He knew she was gone, and though the show continued, his focus was somewhere else entirely. Later, when the cameras caught him during the closing applause, he wasn't smiling. His expression was heavy, unreadable, a stark contrast to the polished charm he was known for. Something had changed, and fans could feel it. By morning, the headlines were everywhere. Shen Yue seen crying backstage after Weibo Summit. Dylan Wang's silence sparks outrage. What happened between Dylan and Shen Yue? Fans demand answers. Clips of their brief eye contact during the show were replayed millions of times. Body language experts weighed in. Fans divided themselves into sides, some defending Dylan, others standing by Shen Yue. But the truth was simpler, quieter, and far more painful than the noise of the internet. Shen Yue's tears weren't about the cameras, or the awards, or the rumors. They were about something lost, the quiet understanding they once shared, the easy laughter, the trust built over years. Moments that fame had quietly taken away. A few days later, Shen Yue posted on social media. A single photo, a dimly lit dressing room mirror. Her caption read, "Sometimes we smile for the stage and cry for the silence." It didn't name anyone, didn't accuse, didn't explain, but everyone knew. Dylan didn't comment, not publicly, but fans noticed something subtle, a song he shared to his story hours later. A soft, melancholic piano piece titled "What We Never Said." No words, no caption, just music. A silent response to a silent goodbye. Insiders later revealed that the two hadn't spoken for weeks before the event. Their busy schedules, combined with media scrutiny and agency pressures, had pushed them apart. Both had tried to keep things professional, but emotion doesn't always stay hidden behind polite smiles. And that night, when Shen Yue whispered those final words, "You used to look at me like I mattered," it wasn't about blame. It was closure. A quiet surrender to the truth that some connections, no matter how deep, can't survive the weight of the spotlight. Months later, when asked about that night, Shen Yue smiled softly and said, "It's strange. The world saw my tears, but not the peace that came after. Sometimes walking away isn't sadness.